decisions, I should say. One from the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals basically said that Trump did have the authority to deputize the National Guard, despite what Gavin Newsom said. A real victory for Trump. Another case from a federal judge said that Trump and the Department of Transportation did not have the authority to condition transportation funds on immigration actions. Talk a bit about both cases and what they say for Trump's immigration powers going forward.
Well, the first one came from the formerly liberal Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals out in California. When the first term ended, President Trump appointed 10 out of the 29 judges there. So it became more of a centrist court, and they gave a lot of deference to President Trump in federalizing the National Guard. They said, we're going to defer to the president, at least for now, until we get all the facts. And then this is headed to the U.S. Supreme Court. But it was definitely a win for the Trump administration. In that three-judge panel, two of the judges were appointed by President Trump. But interestingly, the third judge who agreed with those two judges was appointed by President Biden. So they gave a lot of deference to the president to come in and say, if we think there's a federal policy at stake here, even under that statute they're invoking, we're going to allow the federal government to federalize the National Guard. The other case you mentioned, Sam, which was that case again?
It was a federal case where the judge said that the Department of Transportation cannot condition transportation fundings to states, in this case California, I believe, if they disagree, for instance, with their immigration policies.
Right, that's called the Duffy directive. So the Secretary of Transportation said that we're going to take away the federal transportation dollars from states that don't enforce our immigration orders. Well, that's a little vague, isn't it? And that's why these 20 states, all Democratic states, went to the courts and said, Your Honor, this isn't right. This is coercive. And the judge, who was appointed by President Obama, agreed and said, no, it's too coercive. Also, what does federal transportation dollars have to do with immigration policy? I understand that if you want to coerce states to raise the drinking age from 18 to 21, remember when the federal government did that, you can then tie it to federal transportation dollars. But there's really not much of a connection here. Plus, the order is too vague, and thus, we're not going to allow it to go into effect. But this is yet another case that's headed up to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Well, indeed, that's what's going to be so fascinating, because you have very conservative justices in John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh, who will predictably take stances that they've held throughout their entire judicial careers, and probably also did going all the way back to law school. But at the same time, on these questions of dramatic, some would say radical expansion of Article 2 powers by the Trump administration, or their efforts to do that,